Hi everyone, welcome back. Episode 8. This is going to be a real quick one. It's been a long week. Was out on a couple loads this week, and on my last run, just getting started, blew the engine up in my car. So it's now over at the shop getting a new motor put in it this weekend. Hopefully I'll be up and running again on Tuesday, but this is a down and dirty kind of a show today. We're going to talk about ways of collecting your money when you get into some situations like I've gotten into, and many others have too, where you're not able to collect from brokers, from trucking companies. If they are a full-fledged trucking company, it's fairly easy to collect from them. You can go to the courthouse, you can get an attorney if you've got one, which you should have one on file, on call. Retainers aren't that much for what we use them for. It's just, here and there. So it's a couple $100 a year to retain an attorney to do your work for you, and then you pay them per job. But collecting on some of the businesses, trucking companies, trucks in particular, solo drivers. Normally a solo driver, they're going to pay you at the end of the road. So there's no big deal there. They either write you a check. I've had the checks bounce, and they'll say, can you wait a week and cash it? And I'll wait. Yeah, no problem. And it goes through. It's just they had problems getting collected from their end. So, and like most of us, they run paycheck to paycheck. So, trucking companies is a little bit different story. If you don't collect from a trucking company, you can get an attorney and they can get a lien, and you can actually go over and lock their gates up. You can put a boot on one of their trucks, or any truck that's loaded, actually, is what I do. I've had to do that a couple of times. I'll go pull into their yard, and or I'll have a private attorney or a private detective. He'll go over and he will actually boot a rig that's got a huge load on it that's worth money, and he'll boot it, and he'll turn in the paperwork and say, here you go. When you pay it, it'll be unlocked. Strangely enough, I get paid within a day or two. So most of the time you get paid right then with a comm check. So that's one way for a trucking company to deal with. Brokers are a little bit different. Brokers will pay you when we get paid. It's a piss poor way of doing business, as far as I'm concerned. All the broker is doing is taking a phone call from a trucking company, hiring you as a subcontractor. Well, I would love to find any broker out there in the world that can hire an electrician, a plumber, a construction worker, contractor, whatever, have them come out, do the job using their tools, their time, their materials, and their money, and then when they're done, you tell them, I'll pay you as soon as I get the money. Yeah, this is a whole different ball game. Brokers do not give a shit about you, and that's just my true feelings. I do deal with a couple of them, and they know exactly how I feel about it. But that's just the way it is. Brokers, to me, if you're going to be a broker, you better have the money in the bank to pay me when the job is done. And that's what I do when I hire a pilot. If I call you up and ask you to take a load, and I broker the load for you, which I usually do not do. If it's a trucking company or a truck, I'll usually give them your number or give you their number and let you call them direct. I do not want to be a truck. I do not want to be a broker. I was a load broker, a freight broker for many years when I had my trucking company, and I dealt with other trucks, and I had about 132 trucks at one time that dealt with me as brokering loads for them. And I always had to make sure I had the money in the bank to cover the driver when he got done with that load, to pay him off. And that's just me. Most of these brokers think, oh, I'm going to make an extra few bucks for doing nothing but sitting there and taking a phone call. And I'm sure I'm going to get yelled at for this one, but that's just my true feelings. Unless you know that broker, unless you've dealt with them or you've got friends that deal with them, and you know for a fact that you will get paid within 15 days, 30 days. I've got one that is always at least 30 days out, minimum. But that's the trucking company. A lot of these trucking companies set up payment dates with these brokers. Okay, we'll pay 30 days. 30 days. Well, they wait 29 days to pay them, and then they wait sometimes 30 days to pay us. Because the check has to clear, it has to do this, it has to do that. So, it's sad the way our business has gone. I know back when, years ago, it was paid at the end of the run. That way you weren't out money. I mean, I've done loads that take me, 2,000-3,000 miles, 6-7 days. I'm out $1,500 to $2,000 on my credit cards for fuel, lodging, gas, and equipment. And then they tell me I've got to wait 30 to 60 days to get paid. Well, my credit card company don't go along with that, and my cards don't. So it's just bull. But a broker is the hardest one to collect from. And make sure when a broker calls you, you ask them straight out, when is pay? Just tell them straight out, and then you can tell them yes or no. That'll be up to you. If they say, well, it's paid in 30 days, it's paid as soon as I get paid, that's the one you don't want. Because that means that trucking company may take 90 days to pay them. And then it's another 30 days before you might get paid. There's legislation in Congress right now. It's already passed the Senate that will make it mandatory for trucking companies, for brokers, freight brokers, and pilot car brokers that they pay their subcontractors within 24 hours after the load. So it's been in the works now for about 4 years. It finally made it through Senate with a majority pass. A few Democrats didn't like it, but that's beside the point. I'm a Democrat. I don't vote that way all the time, but that's beside the point. Anyway, just be careful with the brokers. Make sure you ask them, and make sure it is one of the first questions after they say, do you want the load? Make sure you ask them how much it pays, what are your overnights, if it's an overnight run, what are they charging there, what is the rate per mile that they're going to pay you. They're going to charge the company a different price, so that's their cut. Okay, that's their. Most brokers are 10%. There's quite a few now that are going to 20 for taking a phone call, and that is one reason for my website, World Pilot or Pilot Car Map. So the drivers and the trucking companies can deal directly with the pilot instead of going through a broker. The trucking companies so far that we're using brokers, I've got one company that they've got 47 trucks. They just signed on here this last week, and they loaded 26 pilots off of Pilot Car Map, just that one company. And they are having no problem whatsoever paying the pilot after the end of the load. And it's just as easy for them to do that as it is to pay the broker, and then the broker has to pay you, and they take their percentage, and everybody gets their cut. I'm not saying being a broker is a bad thing. I just don't care for them. Just because it's 90% of the time, it was somebody sitting in their living room one day and said, well, I'll start brokering pilot cars, and I'll get a percentage of every one I send out. Or usually it's a wife of a guy that owns a trucking company, or they know somebody in the business, and they start brokering their loads for them or brokering their pilot cars for them. And Those are fine if you want to deal with them. I know I've got right now over $18,000 uncollected from last year. So I'm just saying right now, be careful. And every one of them's a broker. Every one of them is a broker. The trucking companies were no problem. I had a couple problems with those. But you go and you put a lien on their equipment to where they cannot leave their yard or a truck stop when they're under a load, and you can lock them up wherever you find one of their trucks. And it does not have to be the truck that follows you or that you worked for. You can lock up any truck you happen to find with their name on it. And you can put a red tag on their window. These are things that your attorney can help you get and file for, and it takes about 24 to 48 hours. So, but like I said, collecting from the trucking companies is a little bit different. You normally don't have the problems. And there's a few trucking companies, especially out of Canada, that will hire us down here and then just decide not to pay us. And there is nothing we can do because they are from Canada. Until if they come out of BC, out of British Columbia into Washington, Idaho, or Montana, you can fight there. You can notify each one of the port of entries that this trucking company has denied payment on a load that you did for them. They will shut them down right there at the border. So there is some play we can do now. I just collected on $8,000 from a company out of British Columbia that he hawed around that they didn't want to pay me. They said they didn't need to, that their truck was never here. And so I filed charges. I've got it all on video. It's got dash cam and they know that. But anyway, just be careful when working with the brokers. Like I said, trucking companies are different. You're easily going to be able to collect from them. It's not easy, I will say that. Most of the time you get paid with a com check at the end of the load, or they'll say, can we mail you a check? Most of the time that's fine too. I've got one guy, I work for him all the time. I've known him for years. His wife is an author, just like I am on a few books with her. And I mean, we've been friends for a long time, and he pays me with PayPal. So it's whatever it takes. And like I said before, get yourself the square. Get it here. There we are. The background's not good. This thing is, you slide your credit card right through there. It goes into your phone. You send it into your service, and less than 24 hours, it's in your account. In fact, usually it's less than 12 hours. It's in your bank account. So, credit cards, like most of the guys I know, they're fairly good-sized companies, so getting a check from them is usually no problem. Most of them are com check right at the end of the load. If it's under $500, you can cash it at any truck stop. If it's over $500, you can take it to your bank, and they'll deposit the check, and they'll take it. They know how to do it. They just run it through, and they take care of everything. But just be careful with the brokers, and unless there are other pilots, if they are pilots, and there's quite a few of those up here in the Northwest. Many of the brokers, dispatchers are pilots themselves. So a lot of times they're out on the road making money for themselves, and they're helping other trucks because they've got an in at some of the bigger companies. It's funny, I'm on the list for about 7 different companies here in Oregon to haul oversized or to do the pilot car for them. But yet, 1 or 2 brokers have been working with this other dispatcher or other pilot for so many years. They just naturally call them, and then they call me. That's fine. I know how they pay. The one company out of Medford, they are guaranteed you will get paid 30 days. That's it. If you want to get paid before them, you will not get paid. They don't do anything else but a 30-day payout. They're a large company. I don't know what the problem is. They've got 300 trucks. But they are 30 days, period, because they wait to get paid on that load, and then they take care of their books, and then they pay us. So, but you do get paid. There is no qualms. There's no fights. There's nothing about it. I think one time I went 6 weeks, and that was just